In the vast, unforgiving wilderness of the Arctic, where biting winds howl across endless expanses and snow blankets the land for most of the year, there thrives a small but extraordinary creature, the Arctic ground squirrel. Known scientifically as Urositellus parrii, this little survivor is like a silent superhero of the sprawling tundra. Picture the immense landscapes of Alaska, with rolling grassy plains, gentle hillsides, and shimmering riverbanks under the brief glow of summer sunlight. That's the home turf of these squirrels, where they've adapted over thousands of years to endure some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Arctic ground squirrels have a sturdy, compact build, measuring about 15 inches long from nose to tail, with a coat of grayish-brown fur speckled with tiny white spots along their backs, blending seamlessly into the surrounding terrain. Their ears are small and rounded, and their tails are flat and shorter than those of tree-dwelling squirrels, all evolutionary tweaks perfectly suited for a life spent burrowing underground. Their fur changes with the seasons, shifting from a reddish-brown in summer to a silvery gray in winter, providing camouflage against predators like snowy owls and Arctic foxes. Females typically weigh around 1.65 pounds, while males are a bit heavier, and their body mass fluctuates dramatically as they bulk up with fat reserves for the tough months ahead. These squirrels are widespread across the Arctic and subarctic regions, from the western shores of Hudson Bay in Canada to the far reaches of Alaska in the United States, and even extending into Siberia and the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. They favor open tundra habitats, such as mountain slopes, riverbanks, lakeshores, and sandy, well-drained soils, where digging is easy and flooding is minimal. Unlike other squirrel species, they steer clear of nutrient-rich areas that are hard to excavate, and they particularly avoid deep permafrost layers, the permanently frozen ground that hinders the construction of their intricate underground networks. These burrows aren't just simple shelters from the chilling winds. They're elaborate systems with tunnels, sleeping chambers, lined with grass, moss, lichens, and even fur from animals like caribou, all designed to trap warmth. Arctic ground squirrels live in colonies, sometimes numbering in the hundreds, forming vibrant social communities. They're diurnal creatures, bustling about during the short summer days when the sun hangs high without setting for weeks on end. Their evolutionary history is tied to the last ice age, when they persevered through dramatic climate shifts, adapting to environments where temperatures can plummet below -4 degrees Fahrenheit for 7 to 8 months each year. This resilience makes them one of the only squirrel species native to Alaska and a symbol of endurance in the Arctic ecosystem. When it comes to diet, Arctic ground squirrels are versatile omnivores, making the most of the scarce resources available in their frozen world. They graze on fresh grasses, seeds, mushrooms, roots, tender leaves, wildflowers, and the shoots of dwarf willows, along with berries like blueberries and crowberries. When the chance arises, they add protein by hunting insects, scavenging carcasses of animals such as lemmings, snowshoe hares, or even caribou, and occasionally preying on young squirrels of their own kind. They use their cheek pouches to transport food back to their burrows, stockpiling it for the lean times in spring. Their average lifespan is 8 to 10 years, with females often outliving males due to less risky behaviors. Socially, these squirrels are fascinating. They communicate with a series of sounds, like sharp ticksic alarm calls to warn of threats, low growls for ground-based predators, and short chirps for aerial dangers. They greet each other with nose touches or body presses, and males engage in fierce battles for mating rights. In large colonies, females dominate child rearing, while males guard territories, creating a complex web of interactions that keeps the group thriving. All these traits position them as an essential thread in the tundra's fabric, where every element is interconnected. But what truly sets the Arctic ground squirrel apart? It's their astonishing ability to survive the most brutal winter on the planet, a time of endless darkness and vanishing food supplies. How do they manage to endure those long, relentless months without eating or moving? The answer lies in the mysteries of hibernation, a remarkable physiological process that scientists are still unraveling. Let's delve deeper into how this species transforms its body to defy the deadly cold. Now, as we explore further, consider the sheer ingenuity of nature. These squirrels don't just hunker down. Their burrows can extend several feet deep, weaving through the active layer of soil above the permafrost, creating microclimates that shield them from the worst of the elements. In summer, you'll see them foraging frantically, their small paws digging and gathering with purpose, knowing that every morsel counts toward the fat reserves that will sustain them. This preparation is crucial, as their body weight can double before winter sets in, turning them into plump bundles of energy storage. And it's not just about food. Their social structure plays a role too. Colonies often cluster in areas with the best soil for burrowing, sharing vigilance against predators. Young squirrels learn from adults, mimicking behaviors that ensure the group's continuity. Fossils from the Pleistocene era show that ancestors of these squirrels coexisted with mammoths and saber-toothed cats, adapting as glaciers advanced and retreated. Today, in places like Denali National Park, researchers observe how these ancient adaptations persist, offering clues to broader ecological patterns. Diving into their physical adaptations, the Arctic ground squirrel's metabolism is finely tuned for efficiency. In the active season, their heart rate hums at around 300 beats per minute. But as winter approaches, they slow everything down in preparation. Their kidneys and digestive systems are optimized to extract maximum nutrients from sparse vegetation, and their fur's insulation value rivals that of high-tech winter gear. Even their claws are specialized, sharp and curved for digging through frozen earth. Behaviorally, they're opportunistic survivors. If a burrow floods or collapses, they quickly relocate, sometimes commandeering abandoned dens from other animals. Mating occurs shortly after emerging from hibernation, with females giving birth to litters of 5 to 10 pups after a 25-day gestation. The young are born blind and hairless, but they grow rapidly, weaning in about 6 weeks and reaching independence by late summer. This rapid cycle ensures population renewal before the next freeze. Ecologically, these squirrels influence their surroundings in subtle but profound ways. Their digging aerates the soil, promoting plant growth and nutrient cycling. As seed dispersers, they inadvertently plant the tundra's flora, helping maintain the delicate balance of this biome. Predators rely on them as a staple, with cycles of abundance and scarcity rippling through the food web. For instance, when squirrel populations boom, fox and owl numbers follow suit. Human observers, from indigenous peoples to modern scientists, have long marveled at their tenacity. Inuit and Athabascan cultures incorporate squirrels into folklore as symbols of preparation and resilience, while contemporary studies at institutions like the University of Alaska highlight their role in climate research. Yet, amid this wonder, questions linger. How does a mammal so small withstand temperatures that would kill most others? What biochemical tricks allow them to hover on the edge of freezing without harm? As we transition to the secrets of their hibernation, prepare to uncover the science behind this Arctic marvel, a process that not only sustains life, but inspires breakthroughs in human medicine. The Arctic ground squirrel's story is one of adaptation, community, and sheer willpower, reminding us of nature's boundless ingenuity in the face of adversity. As we delve into the survival secrets of the Arctic ground squirrel, let's uncover the marvel of hibernation, a state that's far more than just a long nap. It's a biological masterpiece of energy conservation and physiological defiance. These squirrels are obligate hibernators, meaning they have no choice but to enter this mode to make it through the Arctic's grueling winter. Adult females typically slip into hibernation as early as mid-August, while males hold out until late September, emerging around late April or early May. That's a staggering 7 to 8 months curled up in their burrows, with metabolism dialed down to a whisper. During this period, their core body temperature plunges from a normal 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit to an astonishing 26.8 degrees Fahrenheit below the freezing point of water, making them the only known mammal capable of such supercooling without turning into a block of ice. Their heart rate slows to a mere 1 or 2 beats per minute, breathing becomes almost imperceptible, and brain activity dims to levels that would spell doom for most creatures. The preparation for this epic dormancy kicks off in the fleeting Arctic summer, a frenzy of foraging and fortification. Picture these squirrels scampering across the tundra, their cheeks bulging like overstuffed pouches as they haul back vegetation, seeds, and insects to stash in underground larders. They excavate burrows that plunge up to 3 feet deep into the active soil layer. Environment around 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside, they craft hibernacula cozy chambers insulated with dried grasses, moss, and scavenged fur, where they'll hunker down in a tight ball, tail wrapped over their face like a natural blanket. As autumn chills set in, hormonal shifts trigger the onset. Melatonin surges, thyroid activity drops, and fat reserves, sometimes doubling their body weight to over 2 pounds, become the sole fuel source. In hibernation, they burn through this blubber at a glacial pace, losing about a third of their mass by spring, but it's enough to sustain them without a single meal. What prevents their blood from crystallizing at sub-freezing temps? It's a cocktail of clever biochemistry. Supercooling relies on purging potential ice-nucleating agents from their systems, things like bacteria or minerals in the gut, while ramping up production of cryoprotectants, natural antifreezes like glycerol and urea that lower the freezing point of bodily fluids. Their cells adapt by dehydrating slightly, concentrating solutes to avoid ice formation, and proteins chaperone vulnerable molecules to prevent damage. But hibernation isn't unbroken slumber. Every 2 to 3 weeks, these squirrels rouse for 12 to 15 hours in what's called an interbout arousal. They shiver vigorously, revving their metabolism to spike body temperature back to normal, which helps recalibrate systems, repair tissues, and perhaps even dream, though that's speculative. These wake-ups consume precious energy, up to 80% of their winter budget, but they're essential for preventing muscle atrophy and organ failure. Scientists at the University of Alaska Fairbanks have turned these squirrels into living labs, implanting tiny sensors to monitor vitals in real time. Led by researchers like Brian Barnes, studies reveal how neural connections in the brain prune back during torpor, losing up to 60% of synapses only to regrow stronger upon arousal, a plasticity that could inform treatments for neurodegenerative diseases. Imagine applying this to human stroke victims. By inducing a hibernation-like state, we might shield brain tissue from oxygen deprivation, buying time for medical intervention. In cardiac surgery, supercooling techniques could minimize ischemia, preserving heart function during bypass. Even space travel benefits. NASA-funded work explores torpor for Mars missions, where astronauts could hibernate to conserve resources and reduce psychological strain on long hauls. Recent experiments show that activating adenosine receptors, key players in squirrel torpor, can induce similar states in non-hibernators, like rats, hinting at pharmacological hibernation for humans in trauma care or organ transport. Beyond the lab, these adaptations ripple through the squirrel's life cycle. Emerging in spring, males wake first, bulking up on cached food to fuel territorial spats and mating pursuits. Females follow, often pregnant from delayed implantation, a trick where fertilized eggs pause development until conditions improve. Pups arrive in litters of 5 to 10 after 25 days, blind and helpless at just half an ounce each. But they fledge fast, hitting independence in 6 weeks to beat the next freeze. Socially, hibernation shapes colony dynamics. Survivors regroup, sharing burrows for warmth in transitional periods, fostering bonds that boost vigilance against predators like weasels or wolverines. Climate data from long-term sites like Tulik Field Station show hibernation timing shifting. Warmer springs prompt earlier emergences, but mismatched snowmelt can expose them to starvation if greenery lags. This physiological prowess isn't without vulnerabilities. As Arctic temperatures rise 4 times faster than the global average, permafrost thaws, destabilizing burrows and flooding hibernacula, forcing relocations that drain energy. Shorter winters mean less torpor time, potentially disrupting reproductive sync between sexes. Yet, these squirrels' resilience offers hope. Populations in varied habitats, from coastal plains to alpine meadows, show genetic diversity that could buffer changes. Indigenous knowledge from Yupik and Inupiat peoples complements science, viewing squirrels as harbingers of seasonal shifts, their behaviors signaling environmental health. Shifting focus to their ecological footprint, Arctic ground squirrels aren't just survivors, they're ecosystem engineers. Their burrowing churns soil, enhancing permeability and nutrient flow, which bolsters plant diversity in otherwise barren tundra. As prolific seed scatterers, they inadvertently cultivate patches of willow and berry bushes, vital for herbivores like ptarmigan or moose. In the food web, they're a cornerstone prey. Grizzlies dig them out for high-fat meals, Arctic foxes cache extras for lean times, and golden eagles snatch them mid-scamper. Population booms tied to mild winters fuel predator surges, while crashes from harsh years ripple upward, affecting everything from owl migrations to wolf pack sizes. Fossil records from Beringian refugia paint them as Pleistocene holdouts, cohabiting with woolly rhinos and steppe bison, their ancient burrows preserving pollen that reconstructs past climates. Looking ahead, conservation spotlights these unsung heroes, with the International Union for Conservation of Nature listing them as least concern. Localized threats loom from habitat fragmentation via oil development or mining in places like the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Initiatives by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service monitor colonies, using camera traps and radio collars to track responses to warming. Public engagement, through apps like iNaturalist, lets citizen scientists contribute sightings, building datasets for predictive models. From this tiny dynamo, we glean lessons in adaptation, how evolution hones survival in extremes, urging us to curb emissions and safeguard polar realms. But challenges mount. Thawing permafrost releases methane, a potent greenhouse gas, amplifying the very warming that imperils them. Invasive species, hitching rides on milder climes, could introduce competitors or diseases. Yet, optimism endures. Hybrid zones where Arctic and Columbian ground squirrels overlap suggest evolutionary flexibility. Research into their gut microbiomes reveals symbiotic bacteria, aiding digestion during arousal. Potential probiotics for human health. In veterinary medicine, insights curb hibernation-related issues in captive bears or bats. Wrapping our exploration, the Arctic ground squirrel embodies nature's ingenuity, a bridge between ancient endurance and future innovation. As stewards, Americans can support through donations to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center or advocacy for the Bureau of Land Management's protective policies. By preserving their frozen domain, we honor a legacy of life against the odds, ensuring this superhero scurries on for generations.